Good afternoon. My name is Sarah. I am here from Monterey County Free Libraries, the Department of Adult Literacy Services and Volunteers, to do a little bit of yoga with you. I think it would be great for us to work on our back, but we're going to do a lot of shoulder and neck because that affects your back too. So as my sister says, let's just come into the moment. A little shoulder roll never hurt anyone. So we'll roll the shoulders back, breathing in through the nose and out through the mouth. And then we do need to roll them forward as well, just to keep things even. So I find that back feels much better than forward. Yeah, don't be afraid to bring them right up to the ears and to let them really go down. All right, so now we have a little mobility in the shoulder area. Let's take another few breaths, palms open and face down on the knee thigh area. I am sitting what we once called crisscross applesauce on top of a handy blanket to both keep me off the floor because it's cold and to keep my hips elevated just slightly above the knees. So coming into just that sort of semi-lotus position, hands face down on the knees, and we will center here and breathe in through the nose longer this time and out through the mouth. These can be noisy breaths if you like, or they can be quiet breaths, or somewhere in between. Inhale and exhale. I love to close my eyes. If you've been following, you know. If that's uncomfortable for you, you don't have to close the eyes. You can keep them open. Now we'll do a few head rolls going from the right to the left. Very slowly. We don't want any jerking or chunking motions around our very delicate neck. And now maybe going the other way. I close my eyes for this because it makes me a little bit dizzy. Maybe that isn't the case for you, and if it's not, be thankful. All right. From here, we're going to come up to standing. So I will see you in a standing position. I have to rearrange the camera to do that. So I'll see you in a standing position in just a moment. All right. Thank you so much for bearing with me and bearing with me wearing my hood. It's very cold. While I'm talking, you can come up to standing if you haven't already gotten to standing. So here we're going to come into a plain standing pose is mountain pose. And that is 1 foot under each lung. Here, I'll stand this way. 1 foot under each lung or feet about shoulder width apart. And then hands at the sides, maybe a slight tuck of the tailbone, shoulders back, lots of space in the chest, and reaching out through the crown of the head. So from this pose, this is mountain here. We'll take a breath or two, maybe hands in prayer, maybe the eyes are closed. And we'll get recentered to ourselves. And from here, once we've taken about 3 breaths, we'll bring the arms back, bend the knees to just bending the kneecaps over the toes, and then bring the arms up at about shoulder width. And this is called uncomfortable pose. In some of the online classes that I take, the instructors like to joke that now they're going to pretend that their screen froze. And so this here uncomfortable pose, and I'm going to give it to you sideways, is a great stretch of the back. It's very, very powerful in the thighs, and the feet need to be gripping as well. The arms can get easily tired, but it's a very nice, powerful pose. If you have back pain, I recommend your block or your book between the legs and squeezing those thigh muscles for strength. All right, we're going to hold this as long as we can, uncomfortable to begin with and uncomfortable to end. And when we decide that's enough for us, we can bring the hands into prayer, and we will bring the right foot back. Stay up on those toes. We're in a lunge here. Stay up on those toes, maybe wiggle the left leg out just a little bit, and we can bring the arms up again. We're in a high lunge. Tuck that tailbone and reach out strongly through the back leg and down in the front leg. Very nice. Hands back in prayer. Bring that front foot forward. Stay in your squatting position and then bring the other foot back. Very nice. You can wiggle that right leg out this time. Strong back leg. Arms up. We're in a high lunge or crescent lunge. This is great for runners, stretching out those running muscles. This is great for concentration and strength in the legs. Tucking the tailbone, reaching strongly through the hands, slight bend in the elbows, slight bend in the back knee, and then hands come back forward and using the balance, coming forward again. Wow, wow, burning thighs, burning thighs. Okay, arms up and lift up and then bend slowly forward into a forward fold. Slight bend in the knees here. Feet are staying hip width apart and crown of the head is facing, if you can, towards the floor or somewhere in that vicinity. You can let it all go from here. Deep breaths, maybe feeling a stretch here, maybe feeling a stretch in the back again. And then when you're ready, pressing the feet down strongly into the ground, lifting back up and coming back into a standing position. All right, you can repeat that as many times as you wish. It's great. It's very hard for me to stay in the pose if I'm not being accountable to someone in that squatting. So from here, we shall cool down a little bit and end the session for today. All right, thank you for joining me back again on the floor. You can use that block that you had between the knees underneath your sit bones if you'd like to sit a little bit higher, get a little bit of a stretch along the hip flexors, or if you want, just stay on the ground. We're going to do one little stretch before we close, and that's going to be a forward fold. So I'm going to go sideways, and I'm having the legs straight out in front of me. And sitting on the ground, maybe on something to lift up my hips. Legs are straight out in front, slight bend in the knees so I'm not hyperextending, and straight back, lifting through the crown of the head, arms up, and then coming forward into a forward fold. And in this case, we definitely want to keep the knees from hyperextending. We also want a straight back. So we don't want to come straight forward just to get as far forward as possible, keeping the back integrity in the back and keeping it straight. Just come forward as much as you can. The pose is the pose. It doesn't matter how far you get into it. So pulling the toes back towards you perhaps, but not necessarily reaching them with the fingers. We want to keep very straight in the back. Feeling around a little bit in the neck and definitely feeling the stretch along the backs of the legs and along the back as well. the low back, maybe the upper back, definitely the middle back. 2 breaths here. And you might notice as you breathe in, that brings more to you, so you come up a little bit, and then as you exhale, you can come forward a little bit more. But you don't need to come that far forward. All right, and that was the second breath, so we'll lift up. And now we're reaching out of the crown of the head. I'm going to turn to face you in my crisscross applesauce. Hips lifted slightly on a blanket. And we'll just finish up with the same things that we started. A few shoulder rolls, forward and back, checking in with that neck. Hopefully your back feels much better than it did when you started. In most cases, I find that other yoga poses make my back uncomfortable, but the ones that I shared today, I believe, are some of the most comforting back yoga. And then resting the palms on the legs, on the upper parts of the legs. Close the eyes. Maybe your heart rate is a little bit elevated from when you started. That's a nice feeling. You're feeling alive. And breathing in through the nose and out through the mouth. Recognizing the work that you did today on those legs, the back. And cheering yourself on for that. Hands come into prayer, thumbs touch the chest. Inhale in one long exhale, and thank you for joining me for yoga today. I hope to see you again in the new year.